This guy is seriously talented. The only thing he was missing was a workspace that was truly his own. So he decided to buy a shipping container online and transform it into the perfect studio. Once it arrived, he wasted no time, heading over that same night to get started. First, he pulled out some foam panels and began lining the inside walls of the container. After measuring and cutting off the excess, he applied expanding foam and glue to secure them in place. These foam panels weren't just randomly bought. He had them custom-made to perfectly fit the container's interior. They were budget-friendly too, which was ideal since money's tight for him. For the ceiling, he started by filling in the grooves with long foam strips. Then he layered 2 larger panels on top and sealed it all with wooden supports, making sure everything was airtight. He didn't miss a single detail. Even the tiniest gaps along the edges got filled with expanding foam and trimmed foam strips. When it came to the steel doors of the container, he used the same method: large foam panels to fill uneven surfaces and smaller ones to close off any gaps. His work was incredibly smooth, seriously impressive. Once the insulation was done, he cleaned up the interior and used a ruler to measure out distances for a wooden frame near the main door. He was planning to build a proper door frame for his studio entrance. Watch closely in the video. The techniques and details are worth noting. Every wood joint was reinforced with screws for durability. But for a guy like him, with 40 years of experience at just 30, as they say, it was a walk in the park. The door frame came together quickly, and after brushing away sawdust, he tested a sliding door to make sure it opened and closed smoothly. Once confirmed, he secured it to the wooden frame with screws. Next, he brought in pre-cut drywall panels and started mounting them on the inside walls and ceiling. Watching him work was like watching a master in action. Effortless, but clearly the result of a serious prep. Before starting this project, he'd spent hours researching container structures and even consulted professionals before drafting up a detailed plan. Even when challenges came up, he didn't quit. In fact, it only made him more determined. He poured his heart into the project because he believed it was meaningful. Once the drywall was installed, the container looked sturdier and more polished. Pretty cool, right? But he wasn't done. For each drywall joint, he applied putty, sealed it with tape, and then reapplied more putty to smooth it all out. A time-consuming, physically demanding process. Still, for him, it was a piece of cake. After that, he rolled on a layer of primer and sanded everything to a smooth finish. Early the next morning, he marked spots on the exterior wall and used a grinder to cut out a rectangular space. He removed the metal panel, cleared out the foam inside, and installed a frame, then mounted an exhaust fan for airflow. To make the air even fresher inside, he cut 2 more vents and installed air outlets. Then he laid down an oil-resistant layer on the floor to protect it and moved on to painting the interior. First, he painted everything white, then used darker paint for the top portion. He even used masking tape to separate areas, adding contrast with even deeper tones. Any tricky spots were painted by hand. Once the paint dried, he removed the tape, and boom, the space looked completely transformed. Next, he installed sturdy brackets on both sides of the interior walls and placed matching wooden boards on top, screwing them tightly in place. These became 2 spacious workbenches. He also installed support frames beneath them and drilled in matching holes to lock everything in securely. These benches are the heart of the studio, so getting the height just right was key. To add a personal touch, he spray painted some custom tags on the walls. With the core elements in place, the studio was really coming together. Outside, he cut a circular hole to run an electrical line inside and installed the junction box himself. That's usually a job for a licensed electrician, but this guy studied hydraulic and electrical engineering in college, so it was no big deal for him. He'd already been working non-stop for 8 hours to get this mega project done as fast as possible. It's no small feat. As the saying goes, giving a like is a sign of kindness, and not giving one is totally fair. But if you've read this far, I bet you won't hesitate to show some love. Your support is what keeps us creating. Huge thanks for that. With the wiring finished, he installed ceiling lights and tested the setup. Everything lit up beautifully. Super cool, right? At this point, the renovation was nearly complete. He looked around, satisfied with the results, and brought in an air conditioner, an absolute must-have for beating the heat and staying warm in winter. And finally, the transformation was complete. So what do you think of this workspace? If it's a 10-point scale, how would you rate it? Drop your thoughts in the comments.